Boyfriend thinks I'm irritating and makes me feel small. Am I dramatic and immature, or is my boyfriend overly critical? Hi all. So my boyfriend and I met through a mutual friend back in June 2023. We met at a music show and then met up at a festival, and ever since then we've been hanging out every day and eventually became boyfriend and girlfriend. He truly inspires me since he is a software developer and is passionate about music and tech and gaming, and I am a tech project manager also passionate about those things too. We see things similarly and both get along very well. He makes me feel a true connection between us, and I've never felt more welcomed in a relationship before, although this is my first adult relationship besides the one I had in high school to college age 17 to 20. Flash forward to couple months down the line, I noticed he'd point things out that he didn't like about me. This man can see me look gross and would say the nicest things about me. But now he points out things about my personality, like deep flaws, and it makes me feel small. For example, described me like a 12-year-old child, told me to leave if I think otherwise, and a gnat because I kept asking him if he reviewed the food options I sent over because he was ignoring me after he told me to try to find a place for us to Uber Eats. He eventually apologized for being grumpy. Asked him to please stop comparing me to a wall. I'll stop comparing you to a wall when you stop acting like one. This happened a couple of times, and when I confronted him seriously, he finally stopped and apologized. Gets upset when guys approach me at the bar, and even if he doesn't hear the conversation of me rejecting him, he claims I look like I'm into it. When he's mad at me and his girl best friend calls him or talks to him, he goes 180 and is so happy. He claims just because he's upset with me doesn't mean I should be upset with her. Thinks when I cry or apologize during arguments, that's me copping out and playing victim. God forbid I am upset. Gets upset when I don't understand his complaints about me when he doesn't even listen to mine. I posted him a total of 17 times minimum, and today I asked why he doesn't post me because it makes me feel special and I do it for him, so it'd make me happy if he did it for me. When I tell him our timeline of when we need to leave to go somewhere/be somewhere, he always waits until the last minute to get ready and doesn't take responsibility for being late. I've witnessed him 2 separate times snapping at his mom for rushing him, and he sounded so harsh. Told me I'm taking up all his free time and life. He wants to hang out every day but expects me to be in the room while he plays video games. I told him to tell me in advance when he will play so I can make other plans, but he said it's unfair that he has to plan out his free time and I should just be able to do something else as easily within his room. Keep in mind this guy is from New York and talks kinda rough. He said his ex and him used to get in nasty arguments. His exes cheat on him and still blow up his phone years later on random burner phone numbers. Our arguments haven't been nasty, but they have been hurtful. Sometimes he makes me feel like I'm immature and incompetent. I think I could handle his emotions and stress better, however I am also upset and stressed at times, but I feel like my reasons are rarely validated unless he's in a good mood and I tell him super gently. For me, he tells me how I irritate and annoy him bluntly and will ignore/turn his back on me. It's like he will comply but do the bare minimum, so I can't say otherwise. I don't know. This was sorta a rant, but I was really hoping we would work out. But this Halloween I've mentioned watching Halloween movies, going to Pumpkin Patch, doing the Halloween gingerbread house I bought for us to do, doing a haunted trail. We have done none. When I ask, it's somehow inconvenient timing, sad face, so yeah. Pretty bummed. I'm not sure if I'm asking for people to tee me to dump him. Maybe I need to listen to him more and complain less. But I need an outsider's opinion before I go into this further with my red-tinted glasses on. Story 2. My girlfriend wants to leave after 7 years due to a lot of issues throughout our relationship. We got together at 18 right after high school. We had been friends since we were 14. Growing up I lived in an abusive home where my dad beat my mom when he was home and not in prison. My mom is a narcissist on top of this. My dad died when I was 11 and my mom was mentally and emotionally abusive to me. I met this girl and she made it all go away. During our first year she lied to me, went behind my back, and cheated on me, and always said it's because she just got out of a long-term relationship. As soon as I found out about it we were outside my house and I remember grabbing her around the neck and pushing her up against the house and choking her. I was filled with anger because I was young and didn't know how to control it and was dumb and a POS for it. Then we kept talking about a week after that of no contact and she kept lying and I remember charging her and her falling to the ground and cowering up. I left after as soon as that happened before I made another mistake. Seeing what it was becoming. After that we called it quits and didn't date or talk for 3 months. We got back together and promised to forgive and love each other and move on. I didn't change even though I said I did. I thought I could, but I never realized these patterns were installed in me because it's all I had ever seen. After about 2 years, so now 3 years in the relationship, we were in Miami on vacation and she was getting jealous and being ridiculous for no reason at all. We went back to my car to leave and she told me she was done with me and I was in shocking and she started putting me down and telling me she hates me and I remember slapping her across the face and we were on vacation so we couldn't leave really and we dropped it and forgave again and went about our days. Expect this time we swept it under the rug. I was in shock how I could do that again, but I knew I loved this girl and I was truly sorry for my actions and I vowed to never do it again. We are 20 when that happened. Fast forwards a year and a half, we are 21 and a half and her friend disrespected me in front of her family and friends and she didn't stand up for me. I felt very angry. We go home in telling her how I feel and she goes right back into the "I'm leaving you" stage and I pushed her up against the wall and had both my hands on her shoulders and we were screaming. After this we agreed to call it quits, took a 2-week break. Fast forward a year and we are back in Miami again and she gets mad that a random girl buys me a shit in Miami and treats me like shit and we go back to the hotel and she's saying I'm done and this and I grabbed her and pushed her into the bed and told her to stop. Even though that seems mild, it was still abuse. Now fast forward 1 more year and a half and we are 23 and we are coming home from the bar. After all we've been through, she gets bad because I told my homie that this girl was trying to buy me a shit and was cute and he should slide on her. I thought nothing of it. Well, my girl didn't. We leave and she breaks up with me in the car again and I grab her and I'm shaking her telling her to stop. We get home, she gets out and starts walking down the street. She throws herself on the ground and starts screaming when I grab her arm and I help her and she smacks me and I smack her right back. This was the last episode we had. I don't feel good about any of this. I feel like a piece of shit. We went to therapy after that last episode because we split for a month. Therapy seemed to help and I felt like we're understanding each other's childhoods and triggers, but none of it was a good excuse for how I acted. This girl hurt me first, but she deserves the world. She has a heart of gold and is beautiful and isn't like the rest of the girls out there. Now after therapy it's a year and a half later and she says she can't forgive me for all I've done and I understand. She has every right. I've went by to therapy on my own and I know who I am now and I would never do that to her again. It's like in a changed man now that I put the effort into to chahi and dig to the roots and fix it all. But now I feel like it's too late. She moved an hour away and is living with her sister. We are separated right now because she said she needs time to herself and tells me she doesn't know if she can ever truly forgive me and be herself again, then tells me she wants a future with me and we are meant to be and it was the right person at the wrong time and I agree. I love this girl and want to give her the world. I know I've changed. I will never sit here and justify what I did, as no girl should ever have to deal with that. I am a piece of shit for it and if I could go back I would, but I can't. I think she knows I've changed but she's hurt. She says she's living up there for her own health for a while and that she's not closing the chapter on us and is not seeking other men and that she's still loyal to me in case she decides she wants to work stuff out. She said we aren't single but we are separated. I'm giving her this time because she deserves it. I have put her through a lot. At this point I still go to therapy on my own and know I've changed. She's all I want in life and I wish I knew that at a younger age. I need some advice on what to do and if this is something I should stay for or call it quits for the both of us. Comment. I'm not reading past "she cheated and I choked her." This is toxic. Please get out of this. Then sign up for some counseling and anger management. You're 25, you still have time to become the type of man you will be proud of. And that's why it's over. It's too late for this relationship, but it's right on time for the next. I know it hurts but it's going to be okay. This time is a gift for both of you. You know she has a bunch of work to do on herself too. She has to sort out why she allowed this to happen to her. In the past you were so mad you choked her. How does she know you won't get that mad again at asking for the break? And honestly, she probably does want to break up but is hoping you won't get so mad if she tells you she just wants a break. She isn't immature. She has an underlying fear of you that won't go away even if you've gone through anger management. Story 3. My boyfriend thinks that we should go on a break. I don't see that working out. A little bit of backstory: both him, let's call him V, and I have been dating continuously for just under a year and a half now, starting the summer after senior year of high school. Our entire relationship, we have had excellent communication and complete honesty. We go to universities about an hour apart with a bus that runs between them daily. We are both sophomores in college, but I am living with my parents currently to save money. We are both transgender, and transitioning during the relationship, me for about a year and him for only 4 or so months, not a problem. B/C We are both bi. I go up to visit him every 2 weeks or so, but because I am living with my transphobic parents, he doesn't visit me very often. During the last summer, after freshman year of college, we drifted apart a bit, and both of us have started taking new psych meds. He was also very stressed because he was living with his mildly abusive parents, so I gave him a ton of love and support that summer, without getting or expecting a lot back because I knew how stressed he was. However, I expected it to get better when we went back to college and was in his own place. At the start of the school year, he was still very distant and was super tired and not very affectionate. His new meds also significantly lowered his libido, which was a little disappointing to me because before his new meds, we have a very similar libido and had a great physical relationship. I kept investing a lot of energy into our relationship, hoping to reignite the romantic spark that I had felt so strongly only a few months prior, especially now that he was away from his parents. Fast forward a bit, about 2 and change months later, and he still has a super low libido, which is understandable, but he has upped his tea dosage, which is supposed to help with that, and is still very distant and romantically closed off. He has a lot of energy around his friends, but whenever it is just him and I, he immediately becomes much quieter and has less energy. I asked him about this, and he says that it is because he is masking, which is fair. It just seems that if someone is so tired all the time and is masking to not seem so tired, he does a lot of social events that he doesn't have to, like hosting Halloween parties, going to tailgates, etc. Don't get me wrong, I'm very glad that he is getting out and has friends. I just feel like our relationship is his last priority. Yesterday, V and I had a very serious conversation about how I felt like I wasn't being treated very well, how he always seems lethargic and distant whenever we are alone, and how I was putting in a lot of romantic and monetary effort and didn't feel that it was reciprocated. He said he feels so tired, and that he doesn't have the energy that he wants to give to me, because he is dealing with work and school. He said that maybe we should go on a break, because he feels that he can't give me the energy I deserve, and that he thinks that we should work on ourselves separately. He says that he loves me very much, and that he never ever wants to lose me. He just thinks it might be better for us to not interact for a while, and then come back. I hate this idea, especially when we are both going through such an important, emotional, and exciting part of our development. I want nothing more than to be by his side, especially because I don't have many social connections that I see regularly that aren't related to him, doubly so because of me living at home and not being able to do young adult/college things. If we take a break or go no contact for a few months, I'll essentially lose most of my close friends for as long as we are on break. Plus, it would break my heart to miss out on even a few months of being in his life, especially when he is so early on T. More so, I'm worried that if we go on break, I might not be able to go back to having a relationship with him, because of missing so much of his life, and because I will always see him in a different light. Plus, he has been the only relationship I've ever had while in the process of transitioning, and my isolated social status and my gender identity make it hard to have meaningful relationships. I think that we will be able to work through the problems in our relationship without going on break, and I think a big part of that is him possibly switching what meds he is on, as most of the problems in our relationship started when he switched to new meds. He says the new meds help more than not being on meds, but they aren't working very well. I don't want to tell him to get off his meds, but if his meds are making him so tired that he doesn't have energy for our relationship, maybe he should consider getting on new meds.